Hey. Welcome to a special Unk and the Boys mock draft special 2024 fantasy football draft. I'm Unk, and these are my boys. What's up, my boys?
What's up?
Okay, the way that we're doing this draft today, thank you guys for hopping in and listening. If you're a listener, please like and subscribe and keep those likes up because we're going to try and do this every week for this football season. Not just fantasy, real live updates. We're going to do prediction weeks, prediction episodes, things like that. But today, what we did is we did a 12-team mock draft, and we each took 4 teams in consecutive order. So every 3 players, every 3 rounds, every 3 pick is going to be one of us. So it goes Owen, Lincoln, then me. Then Owen, then Lincoln, then me. Then Owen, then Lincoln, then me. Then Owen, then Lincoln, then me, and then me again because it's a snake draft, and then we bring it back. The same shit I said, but reverse. So if you got the reverse activity on your computer, just play that back so you don't get confused for the second round. This is how we're going to do it today. We're going to start it off with Owen. What we're doing today is we're doing 6 rounds. We're going to give you all of our picks. We looked up some stats. We did some good research to help you guys win your fantasy league. So if you win, give us a little bit of the bag or give us a comment with like a hashtag, we did it, Unk, something like that. So we're going to start off and we're going to tell you why we took these picks. Owen's going to kick it off with the number 1 overall pick. Now, there's a lot of options here. There's some really good, probably likely can't miss options in the first maybe 6 to 8 picks, but this is when you really got to nail it and you got to do some research and decide what it's going to be that's going to set the tone for your team this year. What are you going to start us off with?
So with the first pick, I took Tyreek Hill, and my case for Tyreek Hill at number 1. He's had at least 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns for 4 years straight. He's extremely consistent, and when healthy, he's been no lower than wide receiver 8. Last season he averaged 15.1 yards per catch, which was the second most among top 10 receivers, behind only Mike Evans, and he also was tied with Mike Evans for 13 touchdowns, which was the most among top 10 receivers. And he also led the league in receiving yards last season. So I think that if he can stay healthy and if Tua plays like he should, he's probably the number one receiver.
That's a fair pick. I would have had a different number 1, but I can definitely see why you took that. I don't know why I'm scared of Tyreek this year. There's no reason to be scared of Tyreek. I'm a Dolphins fan. I just have a few others that I'm taking over them. What do you got at number 2?
I got CMC. He should
Christian McCaffrey, running back.
1 or 2, wherever he drops. He's in my household considered fantasy football Jesus. Last year he was 100 points. He was 100 points ahead of RB2 Brees Hall, who had a great year, and his point differential is crazy. I didn't calculate it, but I know it's in the 3 to 5 range, like Josh Allen is at QB.
Yeah. Do you call him football fantasy Jesus because we thought he was dead and then he resurrected his career last year?
Yes.
He came back. All right, I like that. So for me, my number 1 pick is Christian McCaffrey. I know that there are injury concerns, but I think
Madden curse.
Yeah, and Madden curse and all these other things against him, but I think nothing's changed too much in the offense for the 49ers or coaching or anything like that unless Brandon Ayuk goes somewhere. We'll get to that later. But he's my number 1 right now just because I think he can stay healthy. And if he is healthy, there's literally nobody comparable. It's crazy how much Shanahan just likes to feed him the ball close to the end zone. He got a touchdown, I think, consecutively for like,
I think it was
21 straight games.
Yeah,
just an incredible record, and he's not showing any sign of slowing down. I like Christian McCaffrey as my number 1. Like I said, Tyreek Hill, I like him a lot, but right now he's not on my top board. I'm just debating at my spot if I want to start running back or wide receiver. So I feel like running backs are a little bit less depth in the first tier of elite running backs, solo running backs that aren't doing the running back by committee. Because even if you get like somebody good like Jahmyr Gibbs or somebody like that, there's somebody like along the lines of David Montgomery that could take some of those plays. So basically, I'm debating between Brees Hall at running back or CeeDee Lamb, who was wide receiver number 1. He really took over last season about after the bye week. And that's who I think I'm going to go with at number 3. I like the consistency of wide receivers early on because no running back has ever consecutively became running back number 1 the following season for like the last decade. It's a crazy stat where they could drop all the way from 1 to 20. But the same top 10 as wide receivers from the year before, most of the time 6 to 8 of them still remain in the top 10. So I like my consistency. I need something safe with my first pick because I am setting the tone. I'm going to go with last year's number 1 wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. Like I said, after the bye week, he was in the wide receiver top 10 8 out of 11 weeks. So 8 out of 11 weeks, you're getting a top 10 production. Half of those weeks, he was in the top 3. So 4 weeks out of those 11, you're guaranteed top 3. Double-digit targets in all but one of those games, including 2 games with 17 targets. That's insane. 17 targets for one receiver. They didn't add any extra help for Dak this year.
They actually lost some. They lost.
Was it Cooks?
I think it was Cooks.
They also lost Michael Gallup.
Talking to the mic.
They also lost Michael Gallup.
Yeah, so they lost Gallup, possibly Cooks. We don't have confirmation, but we all think that. So he's going to be looked at more. It was a winning formula. As soon as they started doing that, not only did he get the stats, they were also winning. So I don't see anything changing. Same quarterback, winning formula will continue to thrive. CeeDee Lamb is my 1-3.
Yeah. And if your draft goes in order from Christian McCaffrey to 1, and then Tyreek or CeeDee, they each last year had pretty much identical seasons. Tyreek ended up losing the number 1 wide receiver spot to CeeDee with injuries towards the end of the year. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Whatever your preference is, if you like the Dolphins pass-heavy offense or the Cowboys pass-heavy offense, or you're just a Cowboys fan for some reason.
Okay, let's go back to Owen. We're going for the 4th pick overall. Like we said, it's just going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the way across.
So with the 4th pick, I have here Justin Jefferson, probably one of the most talented receivers I've ever seen. My case for Justin Jefferson at number 4 is when he's been healthy, he's been no lower than wide receiver 6, and he's never had less than 1,000 receiving yards in his entire career, even when injured. He doesn't have a big injury history, and he has one of, if not the highest upside with relatively low downside.
Yeah, I this is the one where I kind of want to interject a little bit on my thoughts on Justin Jefferson. You said that he's one of the best you've ever seen. I think he might be one of the best I've ever seen, and I got a good 20 years on you. He's fantastic. However, one thing that scares me drafting him this early is we don't know what his quarterback situation is going to be like, and no matter how good you are, a lot of the times I've seen Randy Moss get his season hindered by a poor quarterback, or maybe you start to lose a little bit of motivation and things like that. Because I was looking at the Vikings schedule, there's a good chance that they're going to go 1-4, and a decent chance that they could possibly lose to the Giants and go 0-5. And so if that happens, I really worry for Justin Jefferson. Like I said, I think he's probably the best receiver in this whole league, fantasy wise. It scares me. I understand why people are taking him, but it does scare me that if I'm in the top, I don't think I would take him until the 7th pick myself. But I do think Justin Jefferson's great, so I don't want to take anything away from him.
No, yeah, I see what you're saying. Me personally, I think that I'm pretty sure the Vikings head coach came out and said that Sam Darnold was the week 1 starter, and
yes, Sam Darnold.
So I personally, like, as a Jets fan, I'm not a huge fan of Sam Darnold, but I do think he could be primed for a decent comeback year. He didn't look too bad in the couple games he played for the 49ers. And even J.J. McCarthy, I know that a lot of people have been saying that he's been doing like really bad in training camp and all this, but training camp doesn't really mean anything. So I still think J.J. McCarthy could be good down the road. And so I just think Justin Jefferson's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson has the safest floor out of all these top end receivers. Just last year when he had Millens and who was the other?
Dobbs.
Oh yeah, Joshua Dobbs. I mean, I think only had 1 game under 15 fantasy points, and other than that, he was averaging around 18 to 19 with Mullins.
Yeah,
his floor is just the safest. I don't think his ceiling will be like Chase's, where he has those 40-point spike weeks, but he definitely has a safe floor.
Yeah, he definitely needs somebody to just lock into him and throw a lot this year. I worry, but I think he's good enough that even if you're a young quarterback or something like that, if they can get open and make the tough contested catches, as long as it's somewhat in the zone, like Zach Wilson to Garrett Wilson last year, like that was tough for Garrett Wilson. He's an incredible athlete, but if you get a quarterback like that, there's still nothing, like not a ton you can do. So that's why I'm worried about him. But I also think I can see exactly where you guys are coming from. Not mad at the pick, just wanted to throw that in. Okay, let's go to pick number 5. Over to you, Lincoln.
Pick number 5, I took the Sun God Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was great last year, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. If you watch the receiver series on Netflix, he made that his goal, and to hit that, he's in a pretty tough offense. He got Laporta at tight end. He has JMO on the outside. Gibbs is a great receiving back, and Monty's going to take a lot of goal line touchdowns from the whole team. But I still think he can hit at least 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns again because he's just that talented. If he can stay healthy, he's had some problems with health in the past, but last year played 16 games and was great for the Lions.
Yeah, I think it's great. Again, a lot of mouths to feed in Detroit, but they're not showing. They showed that they could do it for everybody. I mean, everybody was fantasy relevant from St. Brown to Gibbs to Montgomery to Goff, all 4 of the main. Possibly add in Jameson Williams, but I don't think that would take enough away because all he is more of a home run hitter.
Yeah.
That he'll take 20 seconds off the clock and he'll eat 2 and add points for Jared Goff. So nothing too crazy, nothing out of line. I still think St. Brown last year, even in real life, man, he was just so reliable. He can always find the open pocket that if it's 3rd and 9 as a Lions fan, I'm not even worried because I know that somehow he's just going to have 3 yards of separation and be 1 yard past the first down line, unlike a lot of receivers who stop at the line, get hit and fall and don't get their first down. So he's going to keep the drives going for people. He's going to be somebody that Goff knows he can rely on. That's definitely a great pick at this time. It's on to me. And you mentioned Jamar Chase. He looked really tasty right here, but like I said, Breece Hall earlier, I would have had him at 3 probably, and he dropped me all the way to 6. The reason I like Breece Hall so much, Breece came off an ACL injury last year. Most players get back to their full potential around year 2, and that's where he's at right now. But he put up phenomenal numbers last year. He finished number 2 running back last season, coming off of the injury. He finished in the top 5 8 weeks last season with lack of carries and a horrible offense. So there was a lot of stuff slowing him down. The Jets have upgraded offensive line, so that'll help him. They got Aaron Rodgers back. That'll spread the field more. A healthy Hall as a rookie had 3 consecutive games of 17 plus carries. So the volume's going to be there for him. And I really think it'll still be there because I think Rodgers at his age will want to do more of a run and then play action. It'll save him on his legs. It'll keep him the ball moving. It'll run the clock, wear out the defensive line. So I think the carries will still be there. Last year, Hall had 3 games over 20 rushing attempts, which is insane to have that many. So 3 games he had 60 plus rushing attempts. He also had 8 or more targets in the passing game 6 times. So a lot of targets, a lot of dump offs. I know it was a poor quarterback that's dumping it off, but I like to know that there's the safety blanket for a quarterback in case anything happens. And I know that Rodgers is probably going to hear those footsteps because he got messed up last year, and he'll probably want to do the dump off quick as well. I think they're going to loosen the leash on him. So with upgrades all around the offense, I believe it will only up his numbers. There will be more mouths to feed for sure, like we said, but he can definitely make up for that with touchdowns and a high-powered offense. With lacking in receptions, I think he's going to be on the goal line a lot more to just get a handoff and move up to that. Him and Bijan are like 1 and 1A for me. I favor Breece over Bijan because what was I going to say about this? Sorry. I just don't trust the Falcons to overuse Bijan like I trust the Jets to overuse Breece Hall.
And I heard that, like, I know that it's not like a huge thing, like, because I'm sure that it's just going to be a lot of third down snaps, but I heard that the Falcons want to get Tyler Algier a lot more involved in the offense. So
yeah, and honestly, like, Bijan gets tons of numbers that I'm not concerned that's going to be a deal. Like, he's definitely my next one up. Like, so he's definitely worth a first round. I just got Breece little bit higher. I really think the Jets are Super Bowl contenders this year, and I think that that's the right way to go. Where there's just a lot of uncertainty. It's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement in Atlanta, just like there is over in like Arizona with their offenses. But we don't know yet. We haven't seen that. We've seen what the Jets can do without Aaron Rodgers, and add that piece. We know what Aaron Rodgers. It's a perfect fit with a better line. Brees Hall's my guy.
Yeah, I struggle with Brees Hall. I think I agree with the him and Bijan being 1A, 1B. I think I'd have Bijan at 1A, just a little bit ahead of him. I'm just the one thing that worries me is he is not getting 76 receptions again without Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was terrible
Big
to
check down.
make it short, and he just dumped the ball off a lot. So him getting those 8 targets, 6 receptions, like that just isn't going to happen nearly as much unless they change the game plan up and they do have design passes for him and try and pass him the ball that much. But I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But he's still going to be great. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more fantasy points, but still ends up as RB3 behind Bijan and CMC if they all stay healthy, of course.
I just thought of something really quick that I wanted to hop in because you mentioned now that Brees has a higher powered offense, that there's not going to be as many checkdowns. But I just thought Atlanta has the same situation though, because there was a lot of checkdowns from Desmond Ridder and whoever their other quarterback was, and now they've upgraded to Kirk Cousins. Will that affect Bijan at all to you?
I think it helps him. It helps Bijan a little bit more. Ritter, he was just a turnover machine, and he liked to run the ball a lot. I think he led quarterbacks in fumbles last year, or it was turnovers. It was one of the two. He was big in running, more of a running back than QB. So that hurt Bijan a lot, and the Arthur Smith system hurt him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a lot more goal line touches. Yeah. But yeah, my thing is I think the PPR might actually affect both of them as well. So
yeah,
but
yeah, I agree.
So
it's hard to decide between the two.
It is tough.
Yeah, I like Brees Hall. Just like seeing that he was only 6 yards off of 1,000 yards this season with no like these 40-year-old offensive linemen who can't stay healthy, and I heard that he like made it basically. He said that he's making it a guarantee that he's getting past 1,000 yards this season. Like I know that obviously you can't like that's not.
You
can't
100% can make it past.
Yeah, you can't. Like obviously you can't predict that, but the words of encouragement are nice to hear. So. Yeah, I think he's going to be good this season.
We can move on to the 7th pick now. That is Owen.
Yep. At the 7th pick, I have Jamar Chase here. This one's a pretty controversial pick. Some people really like him and some people hate him here. But I think that if both him and Burrow are healthy, he's a serious weapon, and they've only been able to complete this once in his 3-year tenure, and it was his rookie season. But in that one season, he put up almost 1,500 yards with 13 touchdowns and 18 yards per catch while taking 85% of snaps. And even in his most injured season, he still only missed 4 games. He put up 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns in his most injured season. So I think he does, like, if him and Burrow can both stay healthy, he has really high upside. And even if he does, like, him and Burrow falter a little bit, he still has not that. His floor isn't that low.
Yeah, I love Chase. I think he had a somewhat decent year last year without a quarterback, and now Joe Burrow's back. They know each other. They've known each other since college. Like they got each other. Like, and I'm excited to see this weekend. Joe Burrow is going to play a series or two. It sounds like, and if he looks healthy, then I'm 100% in. I might even move Chase up my board a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing that scares me is the fact that to get what you want from Chase, you need both him and Joe Burrow to be healthy. Last year, I completely faded Chase just because from the first round because of how scary it was to draft him with Joe Burrow being so injury prone. Just almost every year, that was scary. I ended up being right, and it was a great fade for me personally, and it ended up working. I mean, it it didn't end up working out. I ended up drafting Nick Chubb and Garrett Wilson with my first 2 picks, and we all know how
That's all unpredictable though.
Yeah.
Like hindsight,
Yeah. But yeah,
So
I think we move on
Yep.
to my 8 pick, which was Bijan. I think we talked about him and Brees about the same amount when we were talking about Brees. We all know Bijan and him are right next to each other, and you couldn't go wrong with picking either one of them.
Yeah. This is pick 8, and I don't feel like there's been a bad pick yet.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's got a good shot at the first round, and the last 2 to 4 people, depending on how big your draft is, are going to have a shot at getting 2 elites really quick. But yeah, we talked a lot about Bijan, talked about a lot about Brees. Can't go wrong, but I think we both nailed our picks.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is where it gets a little scary for me. I'm at the 9th pick. I absolutely love this guy. If he was getting the volume that everybody else was, I might even put him over Christian McCaffrey. PPR reasons,
yes, 100%.
His elusiveness, everything that he can do. I'm talking about Jahmyr Gibbs for the Detroit Lions. He's 22 years old. He's versatile. He already made a big impact his first year, despite the lack of volume we were talking about. But from week 7 on, this was a little bit of injury from David Montgomery, and a little bit after the bye week where they felt more comfortable to put him in more plays. Week 7 on, he finished in the top 3 4 times. He shares his time with Montgomery, who is more of a Dan Campbell type of runner, which is leading to Gibbs slipping a bit in the drafts. He loves to run Monty up the middle. He's a little bit bigger back. He likes to run him. So Gibbs will presumably have a larger role this season. I think that's why he's moving up, and we've all seen what he can do. Last year, he averaged 5.2 yards a carry, putting him at 3rd in this category, behind Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Warren. So surprised that Jalen Warren was that high. That's crazy, right? Yeah, very high ceiling player, and in my opinion, is the 3rd best running back in the league behind CMC and Brees. It just comes down to what crazy Dan Campbell decides to do, and I hope it's hashtag free Gibbs season, baby.
Yeah,
Monty up the middle.
Gibbs is always I think if you think and your gut says that Montgomery's going to get injured, I think Gibbs 100% without Monty would be, I agree with you with being Christian McCaffrey past Brees Hall and Bijan. He's just that good. He ended up saving me last year from being eliminated from playoffs to saving me the last spot. So I have a special place for him.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I do really like Jahmyr Gibbs. I feel like he's like grown a lot. I remember watching the draft. What was it, 2 years ago? And when the Lions drafted him, I was like, "Well, who the hell is this guy?" Because he was not projected anywhere near the top, but he's been really good.
And there's been a lot of debates because it's not like the trend anymore to take running backs early. They don't feel like they can affect your team that much, but I think he's done more. I think he's gone above and beyond as his role, and I'm very excited that he's on the team as a fan. And I would be happy to have him on my fantasy team at this point in the draft. But definitely take those other 3 running backs before. There's not a question right now. Not like this is the next tier that we're starting at running backs.
Yep.
All right, and then flipping it back to me at number 10. So this player, I think he has one of the highest upsides in the league, but he has a scary floor. And coming from a Jets fan, this is a big gamble. If you don't know who I'm talking about already, this is Garrett Wilson. And like I said, this is honestly probably one of the biggest gambles of the first round. On paper, his numbers are nothing to be like super amazed of, but it's hard to have good numbers in an offense led by Zach Wilson. So him having back-to-back 1,000-yard season in an offense led by Zach Wilson is impressive on its own. And I think barring a random injury to Garrett Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers fall-off year, he has a really good upside and not a ton of downside, like if they stay healthy. Because look at it this way, it can't really get any worse from where it already was.
Yeah, he's shown that he can get numbers without a quarterback, and now that he's going to have one, and I think that's a really good spot. You're actually reaching a little bit according to ADP, but I want to talk about sometimes ADP doesn't matter. That's a reference. You go in, you do the research that Owen just did, and have the facts and things like that. You could argue him against AJ Brown. You could argue him against Puka Nacua. You can argue him against Devontae Adams. and then it's a teardrop from there. So I'm okay with having Garrett Wilson there. I actually really like the pick. It kind of bugs me that you did go over and above to get him because I would want him later. And so you took one of my guys, and I was hoping that you would take the bait on a AJ Brown because I'm a little scared of him this year, like a lot of people are, and I don't know why, but
No, I agree. AJ was actually the next pick, my 11th pick. I agree. Last year he slipped after week 11. I mean,
Whatever we
he
got traded for him.
fell, and he didn't have a good week after week 9 against Dallas. That was his last good week after the record-breaking 5-week stretch he had, averaging like 130 yards per game, something crazy like that. I mean, he's scary. I was questioning myself about this pick. I think I would rather Saquon or Jonathan Taylor at this point of the draft, but I mean, AJ, if he hits, he hits, and he's gonna save your team.
yeah, and he did enough last year to make me feel safe with him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions on the Eagles offense right now because they kind of went into a face dive towards the end of the season, and it seemed like they just couldn't get an answer besides the tush push, and I lost Jason Kelsey, who was the engineer behind that. But now it's my turn. You mentioned Saquon and Jonathan Taylor. I get 2 picks because we're snaking it back. This is the last pick of round 1, and those are the exact 2 that I'm taking. So I'm going double running back. I want to talk about Saquon first. He's now with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a much higher offense. There's a lot of options for them, but I think he'll spread the field out. God, I'm stuttering. Sorry. But when healthy, Barkley can hang with the best. He finished 12th in fantasy last year. I know that's a little bit lower for somebody that I'm drafting in the first round, but I think it really is due to the poor offense. I think with a bigger offense, he's still got, man, you can do the eye test. Like the numbers aren't there, but you can do the eye test when Saquon's healthy. Nobody's got more swagger than him. Nobody is more dangerous than him. Like he can just gallop. He can get past people. He can juke past people. He can power over people. I love Saquon Barkley.
And I still think the Eagles have a top offensive line even with Jason Kelsey leaving. So it's not going to like he's only going up.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And then they can pass now too. So it's not just the Saquon burnout after 2 drives because he's had 3 receptions, 7 carries, and they made it 50 yards. He leads their whole offense.
Yeah.
And then the reason I'm going with Jonathan Taylor, back-to-back running backs, like I said, I just feel really good. Now I have 2 running backs that do not go by committee. Like we aren't going to be using their backups. They might occasionally, but we know these are the 2. Taylor dealt with a contract holdout last year early on the season. He finally got paid, and then he got injured, and it sidelined him for a bit. He came back. So I want to tell you guys from week 7 on, Jonathan Taylor carried the ball 18 plus times, 6 out of the final 8 weeks. So he's going to be workhorse. They want to get their money's worth. They paid a lot of money for a running back. So use that to your advantage. I absolutely love locking in these 2 running backs. There's lack of depth. I already talked about that. After there's going to be a few more, but we're talking ETN, Achane, Kyron Williams, and that tier is going to be gone before it comes back 24 picks to me. So I had to lock in my running backs now. I know that they won't be here, and I feel like I can get better depth at receiver when it comes back. So I will feel good about Saquon and Jonathan Taylor. Now we're snaking it back, round 2, back to
Lincoln. Or I want to ask you if you think Anthony Richardson will hurt or just
benefit.
Not really benefit, but won't make too much of an impact on Jonathan Taylor.
With how he's more mobile.
I feel like I've gotten too small a sample to be sold on Anthony Richardson like everybody else is. He definitely could take a lot of those goal line touchdowns away.
Yeah.
Like a Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts type person does. But now, so Jalen Hurts, for example, I think you'd feel better not wearing out Jalen Hurts and just giving it to Barkley where he can power it. With Jonathan Taylor, Richardson definitely could take some of those touchdowns, but he's also big and powerful. And I wish I would have pulled up the stats, but I feel like he's got a really high goal line percentage of getting touchdowns when he's on the goal line and he gets in for touchdowns. So I am not super concerned with it. If anything, I feel like that's going to help.
Because they got
offense.
a read
Yeah,
option.
yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes them stutter and all that.
And then if Richardson goes down to injuries, they sign Joe Flacco as a backup, and he shows that he can like manage an offense, and a lot of it is based off of running backs. So I don't think there's like a trap door if something goes wrong that he's going to drop out. I think that he's got a high floor that won't drop and a potentially higher ceiling, because I mean we were going to draft him number 1 last year
Yeah.
until the contract and the injury issues. Like
Yeah.
there was no doubt that Jonathan Taylor was number 1. Now we're getting him at number 12.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. 100%.
at the second pick of round 2, going back to Lincoln.
With the second pick in the second round, took Puka. I love the Rams offense. Puka last year, 1,400 yards as a rookie with 5 touchdowns. He is just one of the greatest rookies and just raw talents I've watched.
Unbelievable.
I think him and Sean McVay, the biggest impact of Puka is gonna be if Stafford goes down. He's getting up there in age. He was a little bit injury prone last year, and Cooper Kupp, he's back. I will talk about him later. I love Cooper Kupp this year. I might have him take a lot of Puka's touches. So I'm a little iffy on him in this early of the draft, but other than that, I mean, Puka's amazing.
This is a tiny bit off topic, but spinning back to Matthew Stafford, who's their backup now? Isn't it Jimmy Garoppolo after he comes off after he comes off suspension?
It's the Stetson Bennett. I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
The old man from Georgia. A couple Georgia boys.
Yeah.
Didn't he finish his last season at TCU, Bennett?
Oh, is that who that is?
I think
Who
so.
am I thinking of? The Georgia
No,
kid.
yeah, he won a national championship.
The one that was like old as hell for
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's like 26 or 27 right now.
Yeah. Okay. Just a real quick thing. Sorry for the listeners. We're already at a half hour on this recording, and it only allows us 2. So we can just cruise through it a little
Okay.
bit. But if we don't get to our sleepers at the end, so basically we're doing 6 rounds. If after the 6 rounds of explaining all of our reasons why we're taking them, we're going to give you guys some like sleepers. I know I mentioned it already, but we'll get it going. Back to, is it on you?
Yeah, it's on me with the third pick in the second round, and here I am taking Devontae Adams. He is insanely consistent. He's been at least top 10 for the last 4 years, 3 of which were top 3. He has a super good touchdown upside, and with trade rumors surrounding him, even like I don't know how much logic they have in him, but if he does end up getting moved to a team like the Jets, Niners, Packers, Lions, he'll have even more of a ceiling with a better quarterback.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds nice. You know what? If he goes somewhere in a trade, which is likely, he's going to accelerate like crazy. I'd be willing to take a risk on him, not right now where he's at, but it's a long game. If he has Aiden O'Connell all season, he's going to be the biggest bust. If Gardner Minshew comes in and just starts slinging, you get a boost. If he gets traded to a super quarterback, you get a super boost. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I heard a super close QB battle between O'Connell and Minshew, but I just think Minshew is going to pull it off. They're going to pick the veteran.
This is another guy with Justin Jefferson, probably one of like the greatest receivers I've ever seen. Like just from route running and everything, he's just
him and Keenan.
They've got like, it's like he has cameras in his toes or something, because he knows like where to stop on the line. Like he doesn't even look, and he knows exactly where to stop to catch that edge and get the extra points. He's unbelievable. Can't stand him. Not for who he is, but that he was on the Packers and just destroyed.
Killed us.
Yeah, all the time. Just own the NFC North.
This one's running back to Stabler at the fourth pick.
The 2-4.
Fourth pick of the second round.
Let's see. I went with Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, cool. All right, Travis Kelce. You guys might be thinking it's a little early.
Yeah,
I did think it was a little bit.
Guess what?
I was expecting the double line stack if you were going to pick it.
Guess what? I don't necessarily love this pick, but I did want to keep this draft as accurate as possible. And over the last decade, I haven't seen a draft that didn't include some jabroni taking Kelce in the first or second round. He is consistent and has a high floor. Last year, he third receptions, second in yards, seventh in touchdowns. In perspective, if he had one more touchdown, he'd be tied for second. So everybody is about 7. He got 6 touchdowns. I'm not a fan of an early tight end and reach, since the 6 players in front of Kelsey touchdowns are kind of random. Like the ones that they're saying are above. It was Sam Laporta with 10, which is granted. But here's some people that got touchdowns more than him. Hunter Henry, nobody's talking about.
That was actually within like the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
He was a ghost
With who, the
after that.
Patriots?
Yeah, and David Njoku, who came on strong at the end, but he still dropped. Cole Kmet, we're not super high on. Here's the other 2 possible: Mark Andrews and George Kittle. So,
Mark Andrews has injury problems, and
yeah, but I'm happy about Mark Andrews, and I'm
Yeah.
even more happy with Kittle lately.
Yeah.
But I felt like this was a decent spot. It might be a reach, but it is a decent spot. Since all the receivers that I saw, I would still take Kelsey over. I was at Ayuk, Marvin Harrison, and Drake London, where they could definitely outscore Kelsey, but I feel safer with this. And a lot of the times in the early rounds, I like safe. This is my strategy: safe, and then towards the end, go for the long shots and hope that works out for you. An argument against Kelsey this year might be that there's too many weapons now with the addition of Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. I think this will actually give Kelsey more space and less double coverage on him, leading to big plays. Kelsey, my prediction to finish as tight end number 1. I don't know if Laporta will be able to back-to-back years like that, but if he does, he's going to be the GOAT, and we're going to talk about him as tight end number 1 for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
This is my actual draft. I'd probably wait until the 4th round or the 5th round to get one of the next tier tight ends.
Yeah.
And you can get these guys in the 4th or 5th. We're talking George Kittle, Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, and Dalton Kincaid. So those are the 4. If you're doing a real draft, we're just kind of playing around, kind of seeing like what it would be like. Because I guarantee in every draft, you guys, Kelsey will be gone by the 2nd round. So I'm just trying to do a couple things with some teams, and that's what I want to do with this. Anyways, I like Kittle, McBride, and Andrews better than Kincaid, even though I love Kincaid. But I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that Kincaid is a teardrop for me. And when I say tier, that means we have hierarchies. So one would be your Laporta and Kelsey.
A tier, B
yes,
tier.
exactly. Just for the listeners that aren't quite sure what we're talking about.
So then going back to Lincoln at the 5th pick of the 2nd round.
With my 5th pick in the 2nd round, I picked Drake London. I believe this Atlanta offense is going to be high-powered with Kirk leading it, even with injury. Penix has been looking pretty good.
Sorry to interrupt. You got both the big
I got
plays in Atlanta.
Both the Atlanta
all in
leaders. But yeah, I think Drake London's shown he can play ball. He just has never gotten a QB. He's had Ritter and then
Mariota.
Oh yeah, Mariota.
It's a mess.
Two terrible QBs. Now you get someone who's played with Justin Jefferson, probably the greatest receiver in the league right now, and we shouldn't be surprised if he ends up being top 8 to top 5. Like he is that type of player.
Yeah, he's solid.
And then
over to you, Owen, with the next pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2nd round, I did end up taking Sam Laporta here. So
I think for the Detroit Lions.
Yep, I think you just can't let him really fall much further than this after Kelsey goes. I think that if it's not Kelsey, it's him at the top. He did decrown Kelsey for tight end 1 in his first season, and I feel like it only goes up for here. And so I know that we all love the Lions offensive system, but honestly, like apart from Amon, they don't really have any like consensus number 1 threats. Like, so he has a bigger target share, and I feel like he could just see a lot of throws.
Yeah, definitely. All right, my next guy. You guys got your draft pulled up?
Yes.
Let's say his name at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Kyren Williams.
Cool. I wasn't sure if it was Kyren or Kieran, so I wanted you guys to say it so I didn't sound like an idiot. So Kyren Williams is my pick. With this one for my 2nd round. In my 1st round, I had Breece Hall. So now I've got, again, 2 running backs. And as of right now, he's not in committee. They did draft a rookie, but I think that that's going to be more of a next year problem. So in redraft, I don't think it's an issue, especially what I'm hearing out of camp. Williams definitely could be a boomer bust pick. He took over fantasy, been healthy last season. The Rams, like I said, added Corum, mix this all together, and it screams bust, right? But
Yeah.
I'm looking at a team with 2 top 10 wide receivers and a healthy Matthew Stafford who can sling it. I think this is going to open up the field a lot. I know I talk about that a lot, but that is a huge difference when you have to have a couple linebackers drop back in fear that the receiver is going to come at them, you know? So for me, this feels like a great value. It's low risk to get somebody with that potential because we're halfway through the second. And like I said, who do we got left now? ETN maybe?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
And maybe Achan if he
And Derrick Henry.
and Derrick Henry. I'm not super high on Derrick Henry as everybody else is, but anyways, he finished in the top 10 of running backs 9 weeks last season. He had a couple injuries, but he's going to be all right. Williams had over 15 rushing attempts 9 times, including 7 with 20 plus. So we talked about early about Brees getting 3 with 20 plus carries. He had 7. Like, even you could be the worst running back in the league. If you're getting that, you're still going to get fall in touchdowns. If you get 4 yards of carry, you still got, I don't know, 80 yards, you know, things like that. So I'm sure they'll loosen that. They'll bring it back a little bit with Corum. But yeah, I know that was crazy. And after 1, 2, I can't even count how many beers. I'm not good at that math. But I'm feeling good about Williams. Another running back I debated about this time was ETN. Next.
With the what pick is it?
We're up
8th pick in the second. I took Brandon Ayuk. This was made before even the talks. This took a couple days. We started the day before the Brandon Ayuk talks.
Yeah.
But I drafted him betting on him getting traded. He now what's today?
October?
August 9th. August 9th. I mean, he can be a Brown, he can be a Steeler, or
Patriot.
I've heard he might stay on San Francisco.
I've even heard like Commanders. So
he's high. He might go team up with Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jaden McDaniels. Yeah. But I mean, I think it just all depends where you think he's gonna go. If he goes to a team like the Browns, switches the Amari Cooper spot, I mean, he could be a beast, or he stays with San Fran and you get the same thing you got last year, which he might be getting overdrafted, drafted too early. But
I know we were talking about rushing this a little bit more, but somebody I want to talk about. Who do you think? What team out of the potential contenders that they're talking about, which team would benefit him the most? Staying where he's at, going to the Patriots, the Commanders, the Browns, or the Steelers? Where would you want him if you were a fantasy owner?
Honestly, it's probably one of the like less thought of ones, but I honestly like the Commanders the best because I think that Jaden Daniels looks really impressive, and just having Terry McLaurin on the other end of him will just open up a lot of space for him, and it'll just let him flow.
Yeah,
it's Jaden McDaniels, by the way. Now we've made him Irish by calling him.
I was like, that doesn't sound.
Yeah,
right.
no, I like it. Jaden McDaniels, that's his name now.
Pretty sure Jaden McDaniels is a basketball player.
Oh yeah, no, oh man,
he played good defense. Yeah.
But personally, I don't want him going to Steelers. I got Pickens in my dynasty. That's just gonna tank George Pickens. We'll talk about him later. But I think the best landing spot he could go is the Browns. I think that gets him. I like Deshaun. I'm giving Deshaun the benefit of the doubt this year to pick it back up and be a top 10 QB and stay healthy. But it just depends on who you think will provide the best offense.
I'm with the Browns as well, unless staying with the Niners is an option. I think he's in the system. Debo's injury prone once in a while. Like if anybody goes down, he's stepping up, and he might even just overtake him by age. And his route running is insane. He is actually the leader in reception yards per reception. So like he averages like 17. They say he's a great route runner. He's got good hands. So very high on Ayuk wherever he goes. I'd be low if he went to the Steelers, but on the Browns, having Cooper on one side, Judy in the slot, and him on the other side with Chubb, a healthy Chubb, and a Jerome Ford for dump off passes. Deshaun Watson is gonna be all right as
Yeah.
long as he can stay on the field.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then-
moving to the next one. We
Yep.
got to keep it
2-9.
going.
9th pick for me in the second round. I took Derrick Henry here. So I think he's just a stud. Like, he hasn't had less than 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards in almost 8 years now. And he's on a new team with a run heavy offense. Like, I know obviously the Titans were run heavy, but like the Ravens are really run heavy. And he should just eat with a better offensive line. And seeing a Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry read option would have linebackers shaking in their boots.
There you go.
Back to
Yeah,
you, Stable.
I think that's a good pick. I'm going Travis Etienne. I could see either way right here. If Derrick Henry is available, I'd start thinking it just because he's in a high-powered offense and those numbers don't lie. I just think that eventually all that wear and tear, like, he's like one of those 70s trucks that are still going. He's like a Toyota that you can still see on the highway for some reason, just still pushing harder than all these Priuses around, But I'm going ETN. In this draft spot I'm at, I already have an elite receiver with CeeDee Lamb, so I want to go running back to balance out my team. So I'm going to try and look running back for second and third. ETN is a 25-year-old, not a lot of wear and tear. He's 6th in receptions for running backs last season, 5th in reception yards. He's a 1,000-yard rusher, putting him just outside top 10. He had 12 total touchdowns. That's tied for 6th among running backs. No significant changes in the backfield. I expect the Jaguars to improve on offensive efficiency with head coach Doug Peterson coming back for his 3rd season. Fun fact, the Jaguars are coming off their first back-to-back winning seasons since 20 years ago.
Jeez.
So they're heading in the right direction. I like ETN. I mean, I'm actually ETN. If I can get him, I'm going to feel like I won the draft in the second round at that spot.
So I know we're trying to speed this up a little bit, but the one thing that does scare me a little bit with ETN is I heard that the Jaguars, the Jaguars want to try and get their second year player out of Auburn, Tank Bigsby, more involved in the offense, sort of like Bijan, how they want to get Algier. It just like I feel like ETN could end up losing out on a bunch of touchdowns because I'm pretty sure Tank Bigsby is the bigger back, so he'd probably be the goal line carry.
Yeah, this is a quote from ETN 2 days ago, and I'm really excited about this quote because this was before I thought about this. He says, "I'm expecting an unbelievable year. They've been getting me more involved in the passing game, and that's just going to take my game to another level." So,
that's exciting. If he loses on rushing attempts, I mean, you want the targets, you want the receptions, and you want the touchdowns mainly when you're drafting a running back. So if that's true, maybe you loses on some rushing attempts, but you do anything. Take as many rushing attempts as you want to get that.
It's going to be fun. Even with a committee, they can both get theirs if Trevor Lawrence takes it to the next step like he should.
All right, and then
with my 211,
yep.
I took Josh Allen. I mean, it was rough. I'm not a big fan of the second round.
First quarterback off the board.
Yep, first quarterback. Josh Allen, I didn't realize how dominant he was until doing a little extra research. His points over replacement is the highest I've seen at 5. If you don't know what that is, that's what you can replace with. So usually the 13th QB, because that is a guy usually on the he's usually on the waiver wire. Josh Allen the past 5 years has been 1 or 2 majority. He's been QB1.
A consistency.
Last year, consistent. He's just the most consistent QB I've seen on fantasy. Jalen Hurts was QB2 and Josh Allen was 40 points ahead of him. That's a large margin to be behind.
And imagine if he didn't have all those interceptions that he had last year.
Take away 5 interceptions and he's 50 points ahead.
Yeah, dude.
Like he was amazing. And having CMC and Josh Allen, you got the 2 big dogs in their position, and that's a dangerous team.
All right, and then jump into the last pick of the second round here. I have Josh Jacobs, and then in the third round I have Mike Evans. So going to Josh Jacobs, I think he's been as high as RB3 in his career, and now on a better team, obviously, than the Raiders, where they said they want to give him more work in the receiving game. I think he just has really high upside, and I just want to see what he can do behind some good Packers O-line, and I think that Jordan Love will really be able to benefit him a lot. So that's why I like Josh Jacobs there. And then for Mike Evans, the first pick of the third round, as I listed above with Tyreek, he's tied with Tyreek for the most touchdowns by a wide receiver, and he had the most yards per catch out of any receiver in the top 10. In a relatively weak receiving room, I know the Godwin's there, but he's kind of taken a dip in the last couple of years, and he's obviously the standout number one target in that thing or in that offense, and it seems like him and Baker Mayfield have really good chemistry. And then jumping back to Lincoln.
Before Lincoln goes really quick, I just want it to be known because we don't have a visual on this. He's got Christian McCaffrey, number one running back, and Josh Allen, number one quarterback on his team right now.
Yes.
So it might be sometimes it feels like a reach to get a quarterback early, but if you get that to match with the number one running back, it's gonna be scary as long as he can keep this up. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Back to Lincoln with the second pick in the third round.
The 3-2, I took Marvin Harrison.
Love it.
Personally, the second round is a reach on Marvin Harrison. I don't know how others feel. I actually recently heard from camp just before this pod, that he's looking amazing. That's why not much people are talking about him on the media, because he's just doing what everyone expects. He's doing amazing. He could end up doing better than Puka and just smashing this AP. But him being a rookie, projecting him to be some record-breaking rookie again, it's just scary. So, but taking a risk on him in the third round is worth it to me, with the team that I already had built with CMC and Josh Allen.
Yeah, so I heard something out of Hard Knocks with the Giants, something crazy that I want to hear your guys' opinion on real quick before we move on. I heard that if Marvin Harrison would have fallen to the Giants still would have taken Malik Neighbors over him.
Oh.
I was actually like that. Like at the draft, I thought I would have taken Malik too.
Yeah.
I'm so high on Malik.
I don't think you can go wrong. I think if neither of them were there, I think if Marvin Harrison wasn't there, it would have been the Malik Neighbors show all season long. People would be fighting over him. It's just another year where you get somebody like Julio and AJ Green, something like Chase and whoever came with Chase. I remember there's somebody else.
Chase and Waddle.
Yeah, no, was it Waddle?
Yep.
Okay, but I guess Chase wins that one, but. But the AJ Green, Julio, they just went toe to toe for years, and I think that's what Neighbors and Harrison's going to do. And I'm high on Kyler Murray, my boy Calamari. He's fantasy GOAT for me. He won me a championship last year.
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was him, Brees, Gibbs, and Tony Pollard came through for me in the playoffs.
All right, and then bump back to Stabler, third pick of third round.
Back to me, third pick. I'm going Homer, Devon Achane. I wish his name was Jack. Jack Achane. I debated on Isaiah Pacheco here. Pacheco is a safer pick in a high-scoring offense, but Achane reminds me of Chris Johnson. Are you guys old enough to know CJ2K?
I know.
He's the human joystick, right?
He was insane, dude. Yeah, he is fast. He is strong. Well, he wasn't super strong, but he was hella fast. He didn't need to be strong, and he got over 2,000 yards, so he earned the name CJ2K. But that's who he reminds me of. I haven't seen anybody like this since him. Downside is he missed a lot of games, so we have a small sample size. The sample that we have is more than enough for me to take the risk right here.
Yeah.
5 weeks in the top 7 among running backs in terms of fantasy points, including a number 1 and 2 number 4s. I don't have a lot of numbers to back up this pick, but the eye test mixed with the Dolphins offense, who will be creating space in the field, is why I'm taking Achane early in the third round. And now my team is ETN, Achane in the backfield, and CeeDee Lamb on the wideout. So I'm loving this team so far. I'm really loving this team. Next.
And then bouncing to me.
3-4.
Yep, 3-4. I have Chris Olave. This is another person in a similar boat as Garrett Wilson. I just don't think he has as high of upside, where his whole thing really depends on how well Derek Carr decides to sling the ball for him, and because they really don't have any other good receivers. Like Rashid Shaheed's there to get the occasional big gain, but
Weber State, great.
Yeah, but other than that, they as Saints really don't have anyone to catch the ball other than Olave. So it really just all comes down to Derek Carr and how well he wants to play some football.
You know what's funny to me is me and you have a lot of different we're close to each other in this draft, and we aren't really taking each other's guys because you got guys that you like and I got guys that I like. I'm hesitant on reasons for yours, but you might be right. Like, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
there's a wrong way to look at it. It's just sometimes, like, as long as you do enough research, like, you're gonna get a comfortable enough team that in a 12-team league, you're probably going to end up in the top 5 unless your team just takes a huge shit on you, things like
Yeah.
that. But this is what's so fun about it is we're gonna take these picks and we're gonna see how they turn out as the season goes and things like that. And it's just so funny where you take Derrick Henry and then I take somebody, the ETN that I wanted, and then here, like you went Mike Evans earlier, and
Yep.
he's such a safe pick, he's such a consistent pick, but I have questions about it. And then who did you Olave? I absolutely love Olave, but
Yeah.
I don't love what the Saints are doing right now. That I'm scared because I don't know what their direction is, and
Yeah.
it's so funny that all these picks that you're making, I'm like, I can see your point. I'm sorry to like stop this for a second. It's just so crazy that we can have so many different views, and we don't know which one's right now. But
Yeah. So like
but
I
they're
said,
like all like really. I feel like this is one of our smartest takes that we've had talking
Yeah.
about fantasy football with the three of us.
yeah. So like I said, I think Chris Olave is really similar to Garrett Wilson. I just think Garrett Wilson has a little bit higher upside. Moving on to Lincoln.
The 3-5, I took Isaiah Pacheco. Like Staver said, he's just like that safety blanket in the third round. I think there's an argument of him getting taken before Josh Jacobs and Vaughn. But yeah, him being in this backfield, Andy Reid has already talked about using Pacheco all downs, receiving back, goal line. He is the workhorse in this backfield, and it's the Chiefs coming off 2 straight Super Bowls. They're going for a third. He is going to be utilized, and he is going to be amazing this year.
Isaiah Pacheco is a prime example of given the right circumstances, any like draft position does not matter because he was taken in like the 7th round out of Rutgers. So
and he's so funny to watch, and it's fun to watch. Like he just like
like
he just chops, dude.
Yes,
he
he
just
has-
chops
yeah.
them
like an
feet.
angry kid running or
Yeah.
something.
and he has funny dance moves.
And he's fantastic, man. I'm really rooting for this guy to go well. I went for my next pick. I went Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans. There's times where I go against my gut and I listen to social media experts on Twitter. Nico Collins is the influence pick for me. I feel like I would rather have Waddle, Debo, or DJ Moore over Nico Collins, but I'll tell you the reasons why I'm being sold. Although there will be more mouths to feed with the additions of Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, and then healthy Tank Dell if he's healthy. Nico feels like the home run hitter. When I say home run hitter, I mean we're talking about somebody that gets the deep balls. He averaged 6.2 yards per reception last year. That ranks number 1 amongst receivers who had 80 or more receptions. He's third overall if you include people with 50 or more receptions, just behind Ayuk and Amari Cooper. So I'm very excited for what he can do with a full season. He's on his 3rd year. He's more polished than Tank Dell is. And I feel like he's more of in his prime than Stephon Diggs is. So that's why I'm picking him over anybody else on that Texans offense. And if you're in a draft, you have to get one of the 4 pieces of the Texans. They are going to be electric. I don't care if you end up with Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, CJ Stroud,
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, so 5, including Mixon.
Fire.
Yeah. You gotta get a piece in there because that's going to be a high offense.
I could even see Dalton Schultz doing really well this season.
Oh yeah, even Schultz. Like just that's going to be the offense unless Stroud somehow takes a horrible sophomore year step back. But with that many weapons, I just don't see it. Yeah.
All right. And then,
hold on, I got one more thing to say. He was tied for 8th overall in touchdown receptions with 8 touchdowns. His teammate Dell had 7, so that's a lot. So I still believe there will be enough to go around. I'm taking Nico Collins to be number 1 on the Texans by the end of the season, given he stays healthy. Go.
All right, and then jump back to me, 7th pick in the 3rd round. I took Debo Samuel here. This player is super controversial, and he it just really depends on like how healthy he wants to be. Because with IU possibly leaving, he's a really good like receiver. Like he's pretty much the only receiver in that offense, like wide receiver with Ayuk leaving, and he has good receiving upside, and the dude can rush for 500 yards a season. So I just like when he's healthy, he can get up to like 1,700 all-purpose yards a season. So I just think he has really high upside, just barring some injury issues.
I love him. If Ayuk's gone, I love him at that spot especially.
Yeah.
All right, with the 3-8, had to take my Bear, DJ Moore. I mean, last year, oh my gosh, he was amazing. He had 4 of his 6 years. He's been a 1,000-yard receiver with terrible QB play. I'm a Justin Fields fan. I hope Fields does amazing. He wasn't the best passer. The year before, PJ Washington, he's dealt with an old and Andy Dalton. He's never had good QB play, but he's had 1,000 yards every year. He's like a little bit worse Garrett Wilson. He's just a beast, and he has a lot of competition with Keenan Allen getting picked up.
And a Dunze.
Dunze, Cole Kmet. He isn't a top 5 tight end, but
There's
he's
also
definitely
Gerald Everett in there now
amazing.
too.
Yep, and then DeAndre Swift. I mean, it just depends how you think Swift is gonna do with the touchdowns, if he's gonna take any touchdowns. But Caleb Williams, next Patrick Mahomes. He might take his nose,
Yeah.
but he is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, and then to Stabler with the 3-9.
Is that Jalen Hurts?
Yep.
I'm going quarterback. Second quarterback off the board. Jalen Hurts, he was tied for first in rushing touchdowns with Josh Allen, so equal touchdowns. And I got him a little bit later. I know it's 40-point difference, but still knowing that I'm getting those rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And after that, there was no quarterback within 10 rushing touchdowns of these two. So
That's
10
crazy.
less touchdowns for the next rusher quarterback. So that means Lamar Jackson's that much further down. That's crazy. I wouldn't go as far to say I'd put him in the Josh Allen tier because I feel like he's in a tier of his own, especially with that consistency of 1-2, 1-2, 1-2.
Yeah.
But he does have a lot more weapons than Josh Allen this year, so it could make it close. My concerns for Hurts would be losing Jason Kelsey to retirement. We talked about that earlier. It could mess with the brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever we're calling it. But it also, you guys mentioned they still have one of the best lines. Another concern is, we talked about it earlier, Saquon Barkley showing up could eat the goal line touchdowns. I don't feel like there is much concern taking Hurts right now. If you don't land Allen or Hurts, or you want to wait, I would recommend getting the next tier in a single quarterback league. So as long as it's not super flex, you want to wait till the 7th through 9th. Get Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, and maybe Jordan Love. Or if you're a 49ers biased fan, go ahead and get Brock Purdy in the 9th or 10th round.
And then come back to me here. So I almost take an opposite approach to Stabler. I like taking the dudes who can have big numbers, but they can also fall. I'm not as much of a safe player taker as Stabler is. And coming back to that, I have Rashad White right here. He is a PPR monster. He had almost 1,500 all-purpose yards last year. He has amazing receiving upside, and I think that Stabler sent me something a while back. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was like one of the most efficient backs in the league or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just think he'll be really good.
It is insane. I am the biggest Rashad White hater in the world because I watch him and he looks like garbage to me, but he just moves. He just keeps getting volume. I looked up numbers when I was trying to look up like my running backs and seeing like the league leaders and this, league leaders and that. Rashad White is at like the top of everything. Like he's in the top 3 of everything, volume wise, touchdown wise, reception wise. He's a lot.
And he's mainly a receiving back. That's the thing, is when you're that receiving back, that's what you want, and you get all the volume. I think he was the only one ahead of Christian McCaffrey in volume with like 89% of,
which is insane because he's like one of the worst running backs.
No,
the volume makes it up.
Yes. There was like quite a few weeks last season. I had him last season in this league for me, and there's quite a few seasons where he had more receiving yards than he had rushing yards. He'd have like 70 receiving yards and only like 20 rushing yards or something like crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't go against it. I'm still stubborn, and I know what a piece of garbage he was last year, even though he looked great with all the volume he got. I'm staying away from him, but nothing's changed. Why shouldn't I take him? So maybe I will. Maybe I will take him, but there's nothing wrong there, dude. I get why you're going with him. I totally get it. Okay, go ahead.
Back to Lincoln.
311.
Great band, by the way.
This is 3 straight receivers on this team with pick 11. I picked Michael Pittman. I love the Colts offense. I'm an Anthony Richardson believer, and I think that he can also throw the rock with being a rusher. I'm sort of worried about touchdowns. I don't know if he'll get much touchdowns. I'd honestly have him at 5 this year, with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. Of course, they also got Donnie Mitchell during the draft, and Josh Downs he was really good last year before struggling with injuries. But yeah, Michael Pittman with the 311. Late third, early fourth. I think he's a great pickup.
And
Yeah, he's in a good spot.
going back to Stabler for 2.
Yeah, I'm out on Michael Pittman because he's done me dirty 2 years in a row. But it is going to be the year. I got a few players that, like, in my life, if I've taken them, they do horrible.
Ayuk's on the phone, isn't he?
Maybe. I remember Drew Brees was my big guy that if I didn't take him, he went off. And then, like, against me each year when it was like the head-to-head.
Yeah.
But when I did draft him, he had a horrible year. Same with Russell Wilson, same with Lamar Jackson, and same with Michael Pittman. So they're in. Well, I guess Michael Pittman's never really had a great year, but
yeah,
Last year, I think technically was his best year.
Yeah.
Yep, 1,100 yards.
But y'all shouldn't have done it. Y'all shouldn't have gave me Jalen Waddle in the end of the third. In the end of the third in a 12-team draft. No idea how he came back to me. No idea. He reached 1,000 yards every single year receiving in his entire career, and that's with a number 1 receiver on the other side with Tyreek Hill, and he's still getting some.
Yeah.
They had the same offense. Waddle is only 25 years old, meaning he hasn't even reached his peak yet. 27, 28, that's when you really peak. If Hill goes down, guess what? Now you basically got a guy at the end of the third round for possibly a mid-first round pick. So I'm very excited for that. I don't want Hill to go down because I don't want to make my point. But I get another pick. Guess what? Now I'm starting to reach a little bit, maybe, or maybe this is the best pick in the draft. I'm going rookie Malik Neighbors.
It is the best pick of the draft. I gotta agree with you.
I was hoping to get him a round later, about a week ago, when I was like looking through things. He was about the 5th round, but all the talk around him about camp and social media, I have to reach to get my guy. So don't be afraid to reach for your guy if he's your guy. Just make sure there is a reason why he's your guy.
And this guy can fight, apparently.
Yeah. But when I say he's your guy, I mean do your research. Stay up to date on fantasy news about the player. Find your fantasy guys you believe in on Twitter. Don't just go out and reach because they went to your local college or your alma mater or your favorite team or you just have a good feeling. You don't want to do that. And this is a side note real quick. I just want to give out, like, if you do have a Twitter account, I got some guys that I absolutely love, and I want to give them a shout out just to thank them for keeping me in the mix. My favorite Twitter accounts, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but is Frank Amirante, Ammirante, Joe Orico. So Frank, let's talk about Frank really quick. This guy puts out like 50 tweets a day, like just really hitting on solid points. Joe Orico, Orrico, he will give you a draft a day of like, if you want to build your team around a CD Lamb from the first round, this is how you want to do it. If you want to do it for around Jahmyr Gibbs, if you want to do a no running back, he'll give you a different draft scenario every single day so you can try it out and see what you like at the end. And then really important is Fantasy Source. Just make sure you're following them. They give you the most updated injury news, anything, trade news, anything like that. So I just want to give a shout out because they're the ones that are helping me continue when I have less time in my life. It's so nice to have them on social media. Back to Neighbors real quick. I believe he can be an instant impact with no other options for Daniel Jones to throw to. He's only 21 years old, out of LSU, 6 foot, 200 pounds, and he's the fastest out of the big 3 rookie receivers. So Marvin Harrison, Odunze, and Neighbors. Neighbors is the fastest. Okay, I'm out.
And
All right,
then
with a 4-2, Trey McBride. I am the biggest Trey McBride believer. I believe he can do better than Travis, Laporta, Kincaid, everybody. He is going to be in a high passing offense with Marvin Harrison. The Cardinals have a very good offense this year with a very bad defense. They're going to be in these shootouts, and I want as much Cardinal offense as I can get. I want to get either Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, or Marvin Harrison or or a mixture of those three in every draft or every league I got.
Trey McBride, he's just gonna have such a high volume.
Yeah, he's gonna have a great volume with a high. They're gonna have shootouts every single week with a bad offense or bad defense. So expect him. Don't be surprised if he ends up being tight end 1, tight end 2, tight end 3.
Yeah.
He's going to win you weeks.
All right, and then at 4-3 here, I have a person I know that Lincoln's been wanting to talk about for a little while. I have Cooper Kupp here. So Cooper Kupp, he has been injured for the last 2 years, but if healthy, he is a serious monster receiver. He has the second most single season receiving yards of all time, and his teammates have made multiple comments, Puka Nacua included, that he is going to have an amazing comeback here this year, and he's just going to eat. So
yeah, Cooper Kupp. He's one of these people that if you believe in him and you don't think you could, if you have the number 1 pick and you don't think you're gonna get him at the end of the 4th, he's someone that you can take with the 3-1. He can be that good. If you think that he is gonna get majority of the passing volume and take a lot of it from Puka, he is gonna be someone that you can rely on. People say he ended off really bad. He actually ended off the season pretty good.
I believe
4 or 3 of the last 5 weeks, he was wide receiver 23, 15 points, and then the next 2 weeks, wide receiver 5 and 9 with 25. He was doing great. Averaged around 16 points per game in between that last 5-week stretch. He can be a great option, and he is an amazing option in these late 3rd round, early 4th.
And then,
hey, can I tell you guys something?
Yep.
I believe in Kupp Cooper.
All right, and then going back to Stabler for one of the most controversial picks in this whole draft.
Controversial. This is the one I took. I took
here.
Kelsey in the 2nd. I got Jalen Hurts in the 3rd. I'm going Patrick Mahomes. I got 2 quarterbacks in 1 quarterback league.
When you picked Patrick Mahomes, when you already had Jalen.
So what I'm doing here is I'm getting some trade leverage. I know back-to-back rounds sounds crazy, but as soon as somebody's desperate enough to give me a 2nd or 1st round wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, gotcha, bitch. Let's go. This will get me that early round receiver, maybe 2nd, 3rd. Maybe I'm reaching with the 1st, but it also provides me protection in case that injury happens to either quarterback. I'm still going to put up big quarterback numbers every single week. Last year was statistically Patrick Mahomes' worst season, and he still finished quarterback 8. Mahomes has added weapons, and I look for him to get back to the top 3 quarterback for fantasy. I will be leaning towards trading Hurts for the flex position right now. For a flex position right now over Mahomes, just because I kind of like that Mahomes and Kelsey combo.
Yeah. Then jump back to Lincoln for the 4-5.
With the 4-5, Lamar Jackson. I think you got to take him in the 4th round. I'm not the biggest fan of Lamar, but he is a 3,500 yard passer. I think he can reach the 4,000 mark with a 2nd year Zay Flowers, a Derrick Henry. They got, oh my gosh, Mark Andrews.
Zay
He
Flowers.
can be a 4,000 yard passer and an 800 to 1,000 yard rusher. His rushing upside is amazing.
Yeah.
He can win you weeks. He will get you dubs. It just depends if you believe in him.
And I like Lamar Jackson. Last season, he was my preseason prediction to win MVP, and I did end up hitting on that one. But he like I said earlier, seeing a Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry read option is just super scary, and that will just
kill people.
So I know rushing quarterbacks are always at scare of getting hurt, but barring an injury, he's scary.
Who's this?
Yes,
Lamar?
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's fine.
And then come back to me 4-6. I took Joe Mixon here. Talking about that high-powered Houston Texans offense. He's a good running back in a powerhouse AFC team that was lacking in running back. That was the only real main thing that they needed to improve on. When healthy, he has been a top 10 back every year, and he should get a ton of snaps under under the Houston offense because their only other guy is Damian Pierce, who did not look.
He was really
He
best last year, got
definitely
beat out by Devin Singletary.
he
That was
definitely
really
lost a
best.
step. He definitely lost a step. So I think Joe Mixon will be really good here. Going back to Stabler.
With a 4.7.
Let me pull up my notes really quick.
Okay.
All good?
Is this
With
DK?
the
Yep,
4.7,
DK.
it's DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. And so we drafted, and what we were doing is we were drafting ahead of time so we could actually do some research, and then we'd sound a lot more smarter than before. And so I drafted DK Metcalf because I always feel like he gets taken a little before I want him.
Yeah.
But then I see him, and it
This
seems
year
like
he
he's
is in
putting
a
up
good
numbers.
spot.
It seems like he's putting up numbers. And then I look at him after I do my research, and I'm not excited. I'm gonna try and sell him on you guys, but I think I might have reached a little bit. He's 26 years old. He's 6'4", 235. So that is a freak of nature, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing super flashy, but he's a great wide receiver too. I feel like he usually gets drafted early, like I said, by casuals. Don't be the casual that drafts him just because you know the name and you saw him run in the combine 5 years
Saw him
ago.
dunk it in the Celebrity All-Star game.
Yeah, things like that. Like he's a great athlete, but so high floor, medium ceiling. I don't think he's going to break out. I think he's going to be a good wide receiver too. He had 1 week as the wide receiver 2 and one as the wide receiver 8. Aside from that, he was middle of the pack, mostly between 20 and 25 range. So
That is where you're drafting him, though.
Yeah.
So he's getting you what you're drafting.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it seems like he does.
It just feels like it just doesn't feel exciting.
It seems like he
Yeah.
does struggle a little bit more against like way better defenses because even like week 12 against San Francisco, he was wide receiver 73. So
Yeah.
It's not going to be that.
Yeah, but he is a potential. Like, I don't ever want to talk about NFL trades because there's probably only like 3 that happen that have any impact at the most. But I think he is a potential NFL trade candidate this year. So if he goes to a good team, why not?
Yeah. With the 4.8, this is my 5 team. Stephon Diggs. I picked him at the spot. He's usually in the 3rd round. He goes around Nico. I don't like that spot for him. Stephon Diggs has been he's been great his whole career. Last year he took a little bit of a dip at the end after Buffalo switched their offensive coordinator. But I mean, other than that, getting him at the 4.8, he's worth taking that risk on. If you're drafting him in the 3rd round, you're walking on ice. I don't know if that's the greatest pick, but if you
I think where you're getting him, yeah.
I think this pick, like, this is a really good spot for him, but he does scare me a little bit. I feel like last season, just watching him, like, with Josh Allen, I feel like it definitely seems like he's lost a step a little bit, and it seems like once he, like, as soon as he stops getting the ball as much, he kind of gets all upset and doesn't want to play as hard, so just...
Yeah, that's good. That's good observation. It is speculation though, so like who knows? Like so a lot of the times when people go to new places, they act like, "Oh, I've never been happier. I'm so happy!" Like, and they put in extra effort just to show their ex Josh Allen how happy they are without him. Yeah, and that it's just how long is that gonna last? It's like Kyrie Irving in NBA terms, you know, like how long can he stay happy? Yeah. But I think you'll get a good burst out of the start with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd trade him. Once he hits his high. Just sell him and get him on his way. My turn?
No, my turn. Wait. This is my turn.
Oh,
sorry.
So then I have here at the 4.9, I have Devonta Smith. He's a good budget number 2 receiver, and he is a great number 3 to have on your team. He's a really good deep threat, and he has good touchdown upside even with obviously we talked about AJ Brown earlier. And I did also with Stabler, like I tried to do some more research on him, and it's on like last year it honestly wasn't that great, but with AJ Brown eating the way he was, it was just hard for him to get as much volume as he had been. So like I said, he's a good budget number 2, great flex. So
do you know what he's great at? There's a league called Best Ball where you just have a roster and then it just takes your best starting roster.
Yep.
If you have Devonta Smith on those, because he's such a hit or miss, dude. I had like him for 2 seasons, and he had like at least 6 goose eggs, 6 zeros.
Yeah.
But he also had like 6 20-something, 30-something point games.
Yeah.
So you just know what you're getting with him. Maybe I don't even know. We'll have to figure out if there's an algorithm of when he does good, if it's a matchup issue or what it is. But he scares me. But I know what you're coming from, and you're still gonna get enough big points that he will put you over in certain games. Because he's what receiver is he to you right there?
He's in the 24.
I mean,
25.
right now in that draft, is he your first receiver?
He
you picked?
is no, he's my third.
He's your third, so
Yeah,
that's a
great.
fantastic.
I took
that's
Olave,
a fantastic.
Olave and Justin Jefferson.
Exactly. So yeah, you're in a fantastic shape with him as a flex. Love it. My turn.
410 with Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, that's right. So we're about to hit a drop in tiers at tight end. The fourth round is where I want to get a tight end in the 12th in a 12-team league. Fifth round for a 10-team league. I'm hoping for a Trey McBride gone, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta. If your league is slipping, there could be a chance that people are just going to let him slide.
Yeah.
But you have to get one of those three, and I would even have Dalton just a little bit lower. I like Mark Andrews. He's put up good numbers every single year, even last year where he missed some games. And what excites me is he's 28 years old. Like I said, he's primed for a tight end. He came back in the playoffs, so I'm not concerned about injury. He looked good in the playoffs, so I'm not concerned about anything like that. He's 2 years removed from having a 1,300 yard ceiling, or goddamn, 1,300 yard season, and that is his ceiling. Where his floor has been about 800 yards.
Yep.
So like you're
That's
not
pretty good for a tight end.
Yeah, I contemplated Kincaid since Josh Allen doesn't have a ton of weapons to throw to that he's familiar with, and that might be the right call. I just really like knowing that I have Andrews with Lamar Jackson, who likes to do his dump offs and things like that, and he always finds them in the end zone.
Can I just make an observation
Yeah.
real quick right here? So this season is like nothing we've ever seen before. Like usually tight ends are like the bums of the fantasy league. There's like one or two that are good, but this season there's Kelsey, Laporta, Andrews, Kincaid, McBride, Kittle, Ingram, Pitts, Bowers, Ferguson,
And you're not even
and Njoku.
Big sleeper.
Yeah, Ferguson and Njoku, Schultz, all these guys can be sleepers. So don't reach for it, but right here is when I want it. This is when I would like one of those three before the actual. I wouldn't say the bottom falls out, but again, I use this word a lot. Tier. We're down one more tier. You have to admit it. Like
this is like B tier, C tier.
I'm not saying that these guys won't jump. The people, but right now, like what we know, all the information we have, you got to get one of these guys. It's such a nice spot in the 4th or 5th round to get one of these.
It's an amazing spot.
Yeah.
And then back to Lincoln.
With the 411, I'm the biggest Dalton Kincaid believer. I think it's because I had him during his stretch when Dawson Knox got injured last year and he became tight end 1. He, between week 7 and 10, was averaging 16.3 PPR points. And he on my tight end board, I have him at 1. I was lying about saying that Trey McBride was 1. I'm not going to lie. He is my 2 to 3. But I am the biggest Dalton Kincaid believer. He was a great pick because on this team I have Josh Allen. I stacked his number 1 target, or believe so, number 1 target.
Yeah, what a combo.
And Christian McCaffrey's on the team too. I'm loving how that team is playing out.
Then back to me for 2.
Hey, can I say something really quick?
Yep.
Kincaid would be so much higher in ADP right now if it wasn't for Sam Laporta last year. 2 rookies that came in at the same time. If you look at Kincaid's numbers, and this is something I kind of stole from that Frank guy that I told you about on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He puts out these numbers, and they're like uncomparable for a rookie. Like it's insane, but it's just insane that 2 rookies came out with these crazy numbers that not a lot of that we're letting him slip to the 5th.
Yeah, I feel like Kincaid could have even had like almost as good of a season as Laporta did had he gotten into the groove of it soon, because he didn't start really stepping up until Dawson Knox got injured.
Yeah.
So
they're both great. You can't go wrong with either, especially if they're dynasty. You lock them in for life, except for you, Owen. Give them to me in dynasty.
Or me all over it.
All right, and then back to me for 2 with the last pick of the 4th round. I took Alvin Kamara. He's a little bit more risky, but like not really at the same time. It's hard to explain with him. So he has unfortunately dealt with injury and suspension issues throughout his 8-year career, and he has never played a full season. Even so, he has only been above top 15 one time, and he has a high rushing and receiving upside, and he's getting up there in age, but I see this like with Derrick Henry where like the age almost doesn't really matter for these guys because they just have such high ceilings and they're so consistent over so many years. And like I said, the Saints don't really have anyone to throw the ball to consistently. So, yeah, I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
And then with the first pick of the 5th round, I took Kyle Pitts. I might have jumped on this guy a little bit too early, and I think that he has definitely a low floor.
Let me
But-
ask you this: is he your guy?
I like him, yeah.
And then you get your guy. You've done enough research on him, right?
Yeah. He's shown flashes of being amazing when he has decent QB play. In 2021, when Matt Ryan was orchestrating things for the Falcons, Pitts was the number 6 fantasy tight end and had over 1,000 yards receiving. And with Kirk Cousins operating things now, he should be the number 2 target in the offense behind Drake London. So
Yeah.
He'll have a lot better touchdown upside too. He only has 4 or 5 touchdowns in his career as an NFL tight end. He does not get touchdowns. I believe that it should jump up to he could get 4 or 5 this season, which if he's a 1,000-yard receiver, he could kill all these other tight ends we're talking about.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we've done a little bit of a mistake and a disrespect George Kittle, though.
Yeah.
I think, especially since the actual trade rumors of Ayuk moving,
He's gonna bump up his.
he's gonna jump so much. I'm putting him
Yeah.
above Mark Andrews at this point.
That's what's rough is with these tight ends.
I did get to him a
Also
little
good.
bit later this round, but
Yeah, he's gonna go later this round, but I still think he probably should have been right where McBride was, if not above now.
This is actually my rebuttal on Kittle. Just a quick one. He has struggled with injuries. Last year he wasn't injured. He was great. But the years previous he struggled with injuries here and there. Just
You know
that's
what?
something that is a little bit more worrying compared to all the others besides Mark Andrews. He's sort of in the same boat.
Do you know what I love about Kittle? He's a huge WWE fan. He's always at the events.
I saw that on the receiver.
Oh, is it on that show?
Yep.
That's funny. All right, who we on?
we're on Lincoln 5-2.
Lincoln.
The
5-2.
5-2.
Pickens.
With a 5-2, I picked George Pickens. I am an absolute fan of George Pickens. If Ayuk doesn't go to Pittsburgh, I drafted him before the talks. I didn't hear the Steeler talks, and then so it just fell apart. If Ayuk does get drafted, Pickens might drop 3 rounds. I'm not gonna lie. They don't have some elite QB. They got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. It's not reliable QB play. Maybe if it was a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar or someone like that, he'd be safe. But with
Shit,
these
man.
trade rumors, he might not be worth this pick.
And shit, man. When George Pickens is kind of like Stephon Diggs for the fact that like if Ayuk comes in, we might see George Pickens move somewhere else because he does not
Yeah.
like sharing his targets.
And Pickens has kind of had an attitude that I think maybe he would be involved in the trade, honestly, that
Yeah.
he'd end up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it might be a good move for him because he's on a winning team and they're not going to take his crap.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
And maybe
the
he
play.
might not give them crap because he's winning.
Yeah, maybe that's the play. Maybe he understands that there's other people.
Back to you for the 5-3 step.
Okay, I'm going. Where am I at? In 5-3.
CJ Stroud.
I know who I got. I haven't got a quarterback yet. So this team is CeeDee Lamb, my running backs ETN, Achan, my tight end Mark Andrews. I feel like this is my row, dude. Out of my 4 teams, this is my row. And fortunately, in the one league that I'm doing a redraft in, I'm the 3rd spot in a 10-team league. So I'm feeling really good about this. And now I'm going CJ Stroud, like Owen said. I'm getting a young quarterback who just got a lot more weapons. Last year, he took the league by storm and by surprise with how quickly he progressed in his rookie year, right? A lot of people like myself didn't believe. Like I take a lot of thought into how quick they can retain playbooks and things like that. And it seemed like he was struggling, but that kid, he couldn't be a nicer kid. I'm rooting for him now the more that I know him. Stroud is only the 5th rookie to throw over 4,000 yards in their initial season. Did you guys know that? You want to hear the other 4?
Andrew Luck.
Yep.
Burrow.
Is Brady one?
Nope.
Oh, not Brady. I'm a Manning.
Nope.
Josh Allen.
Nope.
No, Josh Allen wasn't a rookie. Wow.
Okay. We got Cam Newton,
Oh, I didn't know Cam Newton threw 4.
I forgot he was the person, to be honest.
Andrew Luck, Justin Herbert, all great,
And then him.
and Jameis Winston.
Oh, I forgot about James. He's a weird one though. He has like a 5,000 passing.
So
season.
3 out of 4 of them all turned out to be good quarterbacks, pretty great quarterbacks. 4 out of 4 of them turned out to be fantasy goats if you count how
Yeah,
great Winston was for a couple years.
Jameis Winston, like I just imagine what goes through his mind every time he passes the ball. It's like, fuck it.
Let's go. But here's the thing. Luck, Newton, and Winston all had over 15 interceptions their first year with all those.
And he didn't have that.
Herbert had 10. Stroud only had 5 interceptions, so he's not turning the ball over.
How many weeks was it that was it 8 weeks straight he didn't throw a pick?
Probably.
It was something like that. It was crazy.
Make it 9. We don't know the number. Let's just add it. Like make it crazy.
10, 9.
We've talked about who they've added. Justin Herbert has the most similar passing numbers from his rookie year, and his sophomore year he hit 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. So Stroud for me is the last of this tier, and then we're going to the tier that I really want to draft people at. But you could take a chance on Anthony Richardson, but I will take Stroud, who I feel more comfortable with. And if you miss this tier, like I said, wait till you're in the Burrow, Dak, Kyler, Love area.
Yeah. And so this is back to me with the 5-4. I have here I have one. I almost went with Kenneth Walker with this pick, but I went with James Cook instead. I think that they're really close to me. The only reason I didn't go with Kenneth Walker is it scares me a little bit that I heard that what's his name Charbonnet could be getting a bigger role, and I think like they didn't draft a running back in the 3rd round for no reason, just to not have him play it all behind Kenneth Walker.
And the OC that they picked up last year was loving the run game with James Cook. So I was debating on trading for James Cook in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could pull it off.
James Cook has good PPR. He's good for PPR. He has high rushing and receiving, and the Bills are thin on receivers, so he should get a bigger receiving share.
I want absolutely nothing to do with him, and it's mostly because Josh Allen takes all the goal line touches.
That's the one scary thing. With the 5-5, I end up taking Kenneth. He's a great pick. Love his ADP. I think I got him on a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, he might have dropped further than he should.
But I mean, even at his regular ADP, he's a great pick. The Seahawks OC has talked about Kenneth having the skill set to be an all-down back in workhorse. I don't know how it's going to play out with Charbonnet, but I'm willing to take that risk. And if you're drafting Kenneth, I think that your main priority in the later round should be Zach Charbonnet. And if you can't pick him up, try it and trade for him, and just keep that committee.
So I'm grouping Kenneth Walker in almost with what's his name, Kyron Williams, where like when he was healthy, he was killing it, dude.
Yeah, he should be up higher. We let him slip.
Yeah, and then back to Stabler.
I took Anthony Richardson. Okay, so I just talked about him. I'm taking him here. This is kind of like my Travis Kelce thing. I feel like this is around where he's going to go, and there wasn't a lot of people that I was like absolutely in love with at this point. So I took Anthony Richardson. He's a huge risk, but he has even more potential. The 2 full games that AR played, he was quarterback 4 and quarterback 2 during those weeks. He had 2 games where he was in and out with injuries, and then he missed the rest of the season. But he's 22 years old. Here's the body frame, 6'4", 244. It's a big boy, and he can run.
Yep.
He can run. He can throw. I watched him in college, and I am not sold on him. But those 2 games, he looked like he was unstoppable.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud just proves that like none of us really know anything.
Yeah,
I thought that both of them were going to be terrible watching him in college, and just Anthony Richardson watching him play against our Utah Utes, it looked like he just ran the ball the whole time, didn't pass that much. Utah. Yeah,
and so I'm not ready to buy the farm on him, but I think he's going to be decent, and he's at least worth a risk at quarterback right here.
Yeah. And with how your team ends up playing out, I think it's worth taking a risk on him because he has that.
Now that I'm saying that, I don't believe in myself. I feel like I'm lying. I'd rather have Burrow. I'd rather have Dak. I'd rather take a shot on Jordan Love. I'd much rather have Kyler Murray. I don't know why I took this pick. I'm over it. You guys, I'm not. There's no way I'm drafting Anthony Richardson in any of my drafts unless he drops like past all those guys I just said. and I don't have a quarterback yet. Okay,
All
go
right. And then right here, me with the 5-7. You could argue. So my team so far is my wide receivers are Jamar Chase and Debo Samuel, tight end Sam Laporta, running back Joe Mixon. So you could argue that I maybe should have taken another running back here, but I ended up going with Joe Burrow. Just me having the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow like combo that's scary if they're both healthy. When he's healthy, he's arguably like a top 5 QB. He has good receivers, and when him and Chase are both healthy, they have either been in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. So if you pair them together on the same team like I have, this could be like the top stack in the league.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
4-8. End up taking Amari Cooper. I believe he's I think he's just a discounted Ayuk. Like it's sort of counter.
No, his numbers match what you're saying though. Like where we're getting him.
Yeah, he's just in a great spot, especially this team has Drake London and DJ Moore. Getting him at a wide receiver 3, I think that's a great flex wide receiver 3 you can have. And yeah, I mean, if he ends up going to San Francisco, this could be a huge steal, and you could be getting him at a discount.
Yeah.
All right, and then back to Stabler.
Yep.
So I went Tank Dell.
Yep.
I went Tank Dell. I'm going to be quick on this one. We talked a lot about Texans. Make sure you get one of them in your roster, but I love buying stock in them right now. I may regret it down the road, but right now, like I like this. And as a rookie, Tank Dell had 7 touchdowns in 11 games played. He's looking like he could be the 1A alongside Nico Collins. I like both of them this season, but I'm concerned about Diggs taking away routes. I'm a little more concerned about Dell's injury.
Yeah, so Tank Dell and CJ, while we were making this, had a 34-yard touchdown. So I mean, might help.
Yeah, so
what you're talking about.
I know we're trying to keep this one a little bit shorter because we've already talked about him a lot, but so I am not 100% sold on this pick. I know that we're like all in on Texans offense, but this is the one receiver in that offense I don't care for drafting. Because like if you would have told me this, like if you would have showed me this like maybe a month or 2 ago before they got Diggs, I would have been all in on that and perfectly fine with it. But here I'm a little bit scared with how much receiving they have.
Yeah.
All right, and then back to me with the 5-10. I did end up taking George Kittle right here. How we said he's a little bit disrespected earlier. When healthy, other than his rookie season, when healthy, other than his rookie season, he's been a top 5 fantasy tight end every single year. And if Ayuk gets traded, his target share goes up. And honestly, George Kittle is probably one of, if not the most talented tight end. Like you could argue Travis Kelce or any of those guys, but they just like they get insane targets. George Kittle's just like really talented, and he's just always out there.
Yeah, he's a great pick. This is probably where the next tier drops in tight ends, but
yeah.
Evan Ingram's next. He's so great. With the 5-11, I'm not gonna lie. When I was drafting this, I wanted to pick Dak up. I thought he'd fall back to me. He's the very next pick, but I took Aaron Jones. I love the offense. The Minnesota offense. I love their offensive coordinator. I love the head coach. I love McConnell. Is that his name?
That's the good. Yeah, that's the coach.
I think he's one of the best offensive minds.
It's funny.
This again, just like Kenneth Walker, if you're drafting Aaron Jones, you need to draft Tyson Chandler. Last year, Tyson Chandler did great. So if Aaron Jones were to go down, you got the Tyson Chandler has been talked about and said that he can be the workhorse and he can take over. It's
funny to me that you went Aaron Jones here, wanting Dak, thinking he'd come back, because I don't think Stabler would have taken Aaron Jones here.
I definitely would have went Dak, especially where you haven't had.
No, but like if Stabler or if he took Dak instead, I don't think you would.
Would I take Aaron Jones? Let me see. I probably would have. I might have. I might have reached. I might have reached on Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
but no, I think I'd go Aaron Jones at that point because I feel like good. Yeah, I feel like I would do that, and then I just wait for the next round of quarterbacks.
And back to Stabe for the last pick.
I did take Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Probably my favorite pick that I've had in the draft. Don't let your hate-filled heart of hating the Cowboys stop you from getting Dak Prescott. He's first last year in passing touchdowns last season. He's third in passing yards. He was quarterback 3 last season. Every season Dak has played a full season. Say season again. He's been in the top 10 every single year. It's a contract year, so he's going to play for it. He still has Lamb.
Pass heavy offense this year.
You're getting an elite fantasy quarterback this late in the draft. Like
He's drafted QB8 right now.
Yeah,
amazing.
He's down.
Amazing.
This is going to be the best pick of the draft if you can get him this late. I take this pick here because I don't know if the only reason I would wait is if I knew that Kyler Murray could come all the way down and back, but he can't. I don't think there's any way. And then it's another teardrop for me. A lot of people are high on Jordan Love, and like I said, Niners bias fans love Brock Purdy, even though I don't think so. But after that, there's nothing about quarterback number one. Then my next pick,
Keenan Allen, other bear.
Yep, I got another bear. Keenan Allen. This is probably my last run in. This is our farewell tour. Me and Keenan Allen have been together a lot over the years, but this is it. Like, I don't think I'm going to take him after this year. When he's healthy, he's a machine, right? Last season, he had a resurgence after his injury. Keenan Allen, since 2017, has finished wide receiver 15 or better every year, besides 2022 when he only played 10 games. This is the thing that concerns me, but I like it where I'm getting him. He's a matchup receiver. Against strong defenses, he's around the 20 to 30 range. Against weak defenses, he's top 5 every single week. So if you have him as a flex, or you can bench him and bring him in on matchups, bring him in when it's an easy, like when he's playing the Vikings or the Falcons or somebody with a bad secondary or something like that. Maybe against the Packers because they only got one side covered. Maybe they're going to be covering DJ Moore or Odunze. There could be some times for Keenan Allen.
Or maybe he has a good all-around year because he's not one.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go as hard.
Target they got to worry about.
Hopefully, he just doesn't bring the injury bug with him from San Diego. It happened to all their team.
Yeah,
I mean, LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, I'm done with that team for this podcast. Moving back.
With the 6'2", I took David Montgomery. He just has amazing touchdown.
What's our favorite quote to say when they're on the goal line? 1, 2, 3. Monty up the middle.
But Vegas has Monty projected at 8.5 touchdowns or 7.5. It was one of the two. He's probably gonna blow it out the water again. He had 13 touchdowns last year while being injured 4 games or 3 games. He was inefficient, but these touchdowns carry him. I mean, he's just what you want as a late round 0 RB. If you do 0 RB, he is a great running back.
Yeah, and he won a lot of people a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So then back to me.
Yep. 6'3".
Yep, 6'3". Here I took another running back. I took DeAndre Swift here for the Bears. So this one's a little bit more. This one's a little bit more questionable. I feel like he proved he can be good when he has good QB play and a good O-line. He has high touchdown upside and is on a new team with presumably decent quarterback, and they have a pretty good O-line, I'd say. So I feel like even with Caleb Williams being a rookie, he could definitely just dump it off or give a lot of handoffs to Swift. So I think that Swift could have a lot of volume here, and he could be pretty good. All right, and then
back to 6'4" to save.
Yep, I'm going Zay Flowers. Big Unk's going Zay Flowers. This is one where after I did the pick and did some research, I love this guy down the road. Like 100% love like the future for him. I don't know if this is the year to take him in the 6th round, but he's another second-year another second-year player coming into this season. He emerged as the main target for Lamar Jackson as soon as Andrews went down. Flowers feels like he's all or nothing receiver, so if I draft him, I want to make sure I have a safe pick at wide receiver if Flowers turns out to be a bust. Where on this pick, I don't have enough good receivers I feel good about that I shouldn't have done this pick, but he could be there as a good flex kind of area. Mm-hmm. I feel like even with Andrews being healthy, though, Flowers earned the trust of Lamar, and it seemed like it helped Lamar feel like he can push the ball downfield more. So I look for Zay Flowers kind of be the X factor to take the Ravens to the next level to get them like AFC Championship, possible Super Bowl. And I think it all depends on Zay Flowers, because if he's rolling, that means Lamar's rolling. That means Andrews is getting it underneath, and that means Henry's punching it in. Like everything's gonna kind of depend on him.
Then
Done with that one.
back to Lincoln.
Back to me with the 6'5". I think after him, this is where the not A tier, B tier, tight end drop off hits. Evan Ingram. He was tight end 2 last year or 3. Hang on, let me look. Sorry.
There you go.
Tight end 2. He's PPR machine. He had 230 PPR points and he's getting drafted at tight end 8.
He was tight end. Sorry to interrupt. He was tight end 5 the year before that.
Yeah, he's been very
and that's both since he's been with Jacksonville. It seems like it's a good spot.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence loves him. If you're high on this Jags team, I think you got to pick up Evan Ingram at this discount you're getting him at. Like, he could end up being tight end 5, but still have 230 fantasy points with how heavy this tight end class year is. Yeah. So I think he's a great pickup with being drafted at tight end 8. And yeah.
We're to Owen, and he stole my pick right here. So go ahead.
Yep, with 6'6", I went Terry McLaurin. I feel like he's proved that he can do it at the highest level throughout his career, even with subpar QB play. And with top draft prospect Heisman winner Jaden Daniels throwing the ball, I think that he should have no reason not to thrive under this offense. And with possibly speculations of IU coming in, putting him out of the other side, I just think he's so good all around here.
Jaden McDaniels. He's Irish now.
All right, back to Stabler.
Right, so you took my pick. I was eyeing a wide receiver. I'm going Christian Kirk.
I think he's a great pick, though.
I had to sell myself on this, but after I did the research, this is one that went up for me. So he had a bit of a disappointing 2023 following what compared to his 2022 season. But the thing is he was on pace to have a better 2023 season than the year before until he got injured. So he was actually going to break that. And if he would have broken what he did last year, he finished at wide receiver 11, which for right now, if I could get a top 10 wide receiver, that's fantastic. So he's coming back. I think he's healthy.
In the prime right now too.
Yeah, 27 years old. Ridley's gone. I don't think they add any other receivers besides Brian Thomas, the rookie, which will help.
Davis, but
Gabe, it's a different player though.
Yeah.
And then so I'm really hoping for a bounce back with Christian Kirk, and I would feel really good getting him in the 6th round of 12 team, 7th round, maybe 8th round in a 10 team.
Yeah.
And
great pick.
Back to Lincoln.
Back to me with the 6'8". I took T. Higgins. I mean, just last year he was getting drafted in 2nd, 3rd round. He's still just as talented. I mean, he's a dog. He is having contract issues, which is scary. But I'm gonna be honest, I believe that he's gonna ball out and show that he is worth every penny.
We've mentioned stuff like this.
I believe in T. Higgins.
Yeah, drafting him at wide receiver 30 range, high 20, low 30. He is 100% worth that pick. When just the previous year he was getting drafted at wide receiver 12 to 15.
Yeah, and he I know we've talked about this a lot, and it's not super likely, but this is another high trade candidate. So
yeah.
And then come back to me at the 6.9. I took the rookie Brock Bowers. So Bowers was the highest rated tight end in the combine. I know that a lot of people don't trust the combine and stuff like that, but he's a super good physical threat and was the top target at a really high rated Georgia Bulldogs team where the Raiders don't have great quarterback play. The shittier quarterbacks tend to dump it off to the tight end more, so he could thrive a lot more in the passing game.
I think I heard something on him playing the slot a little bit. Am I just making stuff up, or is he actually going to play a little bit of the slot?
I haven't heard that, but it's not uncommon to technically count them as a slot if they step to the side.
Yeah. All right, you're up, Stabler, with the 6'10", Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed. I want to get some buy-in, some Packers. I don't know the right answer because I don't know if it's a flash in the pan 1 year thing, but it seems like there's a good receiving core, and I think Jaden Reed is the leader. Once he received the full-time role from weeks 10 through 18, he was wide receiver 10 in the entire NFL. While Love trusts his wide array of weapons and he says that there's no number one, Reed feels like the clear number one to me. He had 18 red zone targets in his rookie year. 17 of those were the first looks by the quarterback. So, meaning once he snaps back, the first read he looks is to Reed. Read to Reed. First look every time. If he's open, that's his ball. If not, then they move on. But he's getting the first look every time. I think that continues. And that's the one I feel safest on and getting some stock in the Packers.
And I like to think of Jaden Reed as almost like a budget Debo Samuel, because he did rush for over 120 yards last year with 2 touchdowns with around 10 yards per carry.
Word,
So
you're making me feel better about my pick now.
So I think the Jaden Reeds will be pretty good. Jaden Reed will be pretty good.
Yeah, that whole Packers, just like I feel like we're not going to be able to talk about the Packers group. If Christian Watson, if he goes down, Dontavius Wicks he needs to be picked up.
He was really good,
7 touchdowns within just like
the last
3
4 weeks or something. Yeah,
he was great. I wish I could give you some real numbers, but I didn't actually put some research in Jaden Reed. I know he did amazing in a short period while Christian was injured. Now with my 6'11", I got Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit scary to pick. I'm not gonna lie. Just a bad offense, slow touchdown upside, but the New England they've said they're gonna run. They're gonna run the ball. And was he getting him? What did they say he was going to get involved in passing?
Yeah, and 2 years ago he had 69 receptions and 88 targets. So if they get back to that, dude, he's going to be the league winner.
Yeah, 100%. It just all depends. Zamir White, how did he go around this area too? So it just all depends on who you find is best. To this last pick on this podcast.
Finish us off, Owen.
6'12". Yep. Roma Dunze.
Yep, Roma Dunze for me. This dude is not just your average wide receiver prospect. He is a plain out stud. He put up 102 yards on number 6 ranked Oregon, 125 yards on number 2 ranked Texas, 90 yards on number 1 Michigan. Like, this is not just your average guy. He is right up there with Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. I wanted the Jets to get this guy, but the Bears ended up snagging him 1 pick before. So, but yeah, I love this guy. I think he'll be great from a fantasy perspective, and he'll just be a really good all-around player.
Hell yeah. And the round that you're getting him compared to the other 2 rookies is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I started laughing while you were talking because I realized I looked at the page and I was supposed to update what our draft picks were as on the ticker. So this entire time we've been talking, it just says mock draft round 1 over and over again. We just finished 6 rounds, but my apologies. I'll get a better producer next time. I'll get a JB from Joe Rogan podcast. But we killed it. We killed it. We made it through 6. We got about 6 minutes to spare. After the 6th round, maybe after the 8th round is when you like really want to just you'd rather take shots on a young rookie or somebody on a new team or something that you feel could like accelerate you. It's nice at this. It's nice at this point to get somebody like I'd say like Zach Moss or Hollywood Brown or Chris Godwin or Calvin Ridley, but they're sitting like they're gonna be good. But right now, you got your good starters. Go get the bangers that you're gonna get at a super cheap price. Do you guys have anybody that you want to just hurry and mention?
So just a couple guys I want to throw out there. I really like Devin Singletary. I like Lad McConkey. I like Trey Benson, Austin Eckler. You want to
go? I mean, one person I was super low on, who's on a pretty mediocre offense, but is getting moved back to the slot is Chris Godwin. I mean, he's exciting. He's an exciting Hail Mary to do this.
I wish I didn't say Chris Godwin when I was reading that because I also think that he could have a bounce back here.
Yeah.
So minus Chris Godwin, I'm glad you said that.
Oh, and something I feel like we need to talk about is this Browns backfield just real quick. Nick Chubb, a lot of people don't like him. He's getting drafted around RB40.
Yeah.
or something crazy like that, that's 100% worth taking him to put on an IR and hold on to him.
And it's easy to
And then
handcuff.
Jerome
It's
Ford-
easy to handcuff Jerome Ford.
And Jerome Ford is going even after that. It may update within the next couple weeks,
Yeah.
but Jerome Ford is going later than that, around RB like 50 or something crazy. He could end up being RB 20. Within RB 20 these first 5 weeks that Chubb might be missing.
Yeah.
I wanna run one more thing by you guys before we wrap this up. So out of the Commanders' backs, who do you think does better this year out of Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin
He's
Eckler?
snaking my
Jaden
sneaky
Daniels.
picks. Jaden McDaniels. No, I'm high on Brian Robinson. I really like him. And then Eckler, if you're in a PPR league, you probably stream him a couple times. If there's injuries, he'd be all right. But yeah, I was gonna say I really like Brian Robinson. I like taking a shot on Javonte Williams right now because it sounds like he's healthier than originally thought, and
he could also go to a different team.
Yeah.
He might be a cut prospect.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get cut now because he's putting up enough promise, but. Yeah, if he gets cut, it goes to like the Cowboys or something. If he doesn't go to the Cowboys, I really like Rico Dowdle.
Oh,
I have Rico Dowdle in the league.
About to say, if you have Ezekiel, if you end up drafting Zeke, you need to handcuff. Like, it's literally mandatory. You need to handcuff him with Rico, or else it's just gonna your running back situation is gonna struggle.
Zeke could definitely be your running back goal line thief, your vulture that you could use all season, like a David Montgomery or a Jamal Williams, things like that. Quarterbacks that I like we just talked about, Jaden Daniels. I think that he can come out and give us a good rookie performance. I'm avoiding Justin Herbert just because of the foot injury. I just don't like when a season starts with an injury. I feel like it nags a little bit. Tua's there. He's going to get you the yards. It's just, is he going to give you enough touchdowns and enough rushes? Maybe Kirk Cousins. I'm not like he's gonna be safe. Did I already say Chase Brown for the Bengals?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like that. And then take one more shot on JSN, Jackson Smith Najigba.
Yeah.
It's worth the try. And then DeAndre Hopkins is going really low for a redraft.
I heard he has a knee injury right now.
Oh, then don't listen to me.
He's supposed to miss like 3 to 4 weeks, but after that I think he'll be
okay.
Good.
Then Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I like
with
him.
the Panthers.
So one more, I think a necessary player to grab is Trey Benson, because if Connor gets phased out of the offense or if he gets hurt like he has been, Trey Benson's really good.
Yeah,
and then if you're a lot of handcuffs, if you get Kyron Williams, make sure you're getting Corum.
Ford and Chubb.
Even for the Jets, if Breece Hall gets hurt, there's what's his name?
Big dude.
For the
Wisconsin. There's a Wisconsin back we just drafted in the 3rd round, so he's supposed to be pretty good.
Ron Dane. I don't know, man. I don't know any Wisconsin running backs.
Yeah,
I can't remember. It's
Monty Ball.
Allen.
Okay. And we'll finish with that we could name 4 different Wisconsin running backs. Thanks everybody to coming to Unkin' the Boys Draft Special. Love you all. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Peace.
See ya.